like I said, for you guys to figure out who was the better player. Obviously, namesake and popularity contest will lead some people to answer the questions very quickly, which is, is a part of fandom, so it is what it is. However, here on this platform, when we're going to do the comparisons, we're gonna look at accolades, all star appearances, all NBAs, you know what I mean, playoff wins and that kind of good stuff. Um, Playoff losses as well, but for right now, because research was a little murky for the other guy, being as though there's a lot of stats that didn't keep back when he was playing. Today, the very first debut, we got James Harden versus Adrian Dantley. And to some people, like the average NBA fan, that'll seem like a very random comparison. But if you know hoops, it's not random. I know they don't necessarily play the same position. I know Adrian is like an undisputed small forward. He doesn't really play two or four. He's like strictly a small forward. James, it's been a really long time since James has tried to play small forward. So, majority of his basketball life, he's been a one and a two. And so seasons. So the first thing I want to highlight is both of these dudes. Um, Both of these guys played 15 seasons. Now, obviously, James, barring some unforeseen breaking news, is going to play next year, and that's going to make 16 seasons. Um, or barring some unforeseen accident, something horrible. Pretty much, long story short, he's going to play next year. The circumstances in which he plays, who he plays for, and all that, we'll get to that another day. Um, so as of right now, he's at 15 seasons. Adrian Dantley retired after 15 seasons. Adrian Dantley suited up for the Pistons. He suited up for the Utah Jazz, which is where he was most dominant at, in my opinion. And then he played for the Lakers for like a hot season and a half. Then he played for Milwaukee for like a hot season and a half. Well, he did majority of his damage with the Pistons and then with the Jazz. Um, James Evers, I mean, he's played majority of his basketball career in OKC and Houston. Now it's like the brother's playing for a new team every season, but that's neither here nor there. The pit stops didn't stop these guys from putting the ball in the basket as they're both 24 point per game scores, over the course of 15 seasons. Now, Adrian he came out the gate, blazing a trail, and he peaked at the 30 points per game, and then he just kind of starts simmering down from there. Where James kind of had to like grow into what you guys, know and love now, and then it just reached insane heights, and now he's free falling. The reason why I'm picking this for a debut is this is a heck of a lot closer than you guys think. The only difference is that the era in which they played in and play styles, because they don't play the same kind of game at all. Uh, one of the statistics that I know James has a head up on in with Adrian is leading the league in assists twice. So James is a little more than just a high volume and high threat scorer. You know what I'm saying? He's like a super saiyan playmaker, depending on who's playing with him and how much he's got to rock. Now, the flip side about that is Adrian don't really need, like, you can go and watch this on YouTube. Adrian don't really need but so many touches and dribbles. Like, his usage rate ain't going to be that high, and he's going to put 30 40 on you. And he ain't even doing a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? In terms of having the ball in his hands and, like, the offense having to maneuver around him. That's actually not true. Um, Different kind of player. You know, if you look at their career percentages, man, I think Adrian's shooting like a 51% from the field. And they weren't keeping track of 3-point percentages while most of the seasons he was playing. But in the season that they did keep track of it, the highest 3-point percentage he posted in the season was a 33%, which tells me at best he was an average shooter. But on average, he was barely okay. Like, he wasn't horrible for their standards at that time. But at best, he was average at best. James is shooting like a 36 on average, or shooting like a 38 on average. And that's not too far off from his regular field goal percentage on this career. He's shooting a 44% on this career, but he's shooting a high 3-point percentage. You know, a lot, almost triple the attempts, of course. So that's a plus. James has got 10 All-Star appearances. Adrian somehow only had 6. That I don't understand. From the perspective of, there is not really, it's Alex English, David Thompson, Mo Cheeks, Adrian Dantley. Julius hadn't even came over yet, like until like what 81 or something like that. So the first 4 years Adrian's in the league, like that, those are who the big dominant scorers are. The Iceman, George Iceman Gervin, of course. I don't see how a dude don't make the All-Star team at least 3 times out of his first 5 seasons. I don't get that. Um, I don't know the politics of the league back then either. But I don't understand that 6 All-Star games for somebody who's got like 9 strong seasons of dominant basketball is like pretty head scratching. But it is what it is, man. James has got 10 All-Star appearances, and obviously, if you ask me, James is going to be an All-Star at least one more time before he hangs it up. Um, that's what I think. All NBAs, man. I'm pretty sure James has got the lead there by a small margin because neither of those guys like really dominate the All NBA thing. But the part that I really think is interesting is their minutes. So Adrian Dantley retired, averaging 38.4 minutes played, which is like it's abuse. You know what I mean? That's abuse, bro. That's not even you can't even like applaud that. Like I applaud it. It's impeccable. He did that for 15 years, but that's abuse, Joe. Like James is clocking in at 35 minutes, which is much more realistic. Um, I don't know if he would. I think his stats probably get a little inflated if he's at 38, but I think he retires this season if he played 38 minutes a game. 15 seasons, yeah, he'll be done after 15 seasons too, after 38 minutes a game, man. Um, like I said, they both averaging 24. Obviously, we see James has a leg up in the 3-point department. James also has a leg up in um he's got a leg up in the free throw department as well. They both shot good free throws. James is a career 86% free throw shooter, which is impeccable. The thing is, the shot attempts, I think James Harden is averaging like 18 and a half shots on his career. The season that he averaged 36, he shot 26 and a half shots a game, which is like absurd. 36 ain't even enough. You better be putting 40s up on the board. That's absurd, man. The highest Adrian's ever shot is 20 and a half, and that's when he scored 30. You know what I mean? He averaged 30, but he averaged 30 just like James Harden, 3 seasons in a row. Like 3 seasons in a row, he averages 30. And that's when he scored 30. You know what I mean? He averaged 30, but he averaged 30 just like James Harden. 3 seasons in a row. Like 3 seasons in a row, he averages 30. Adrian Dantley, same thing. They both did it. The thing is that James's 30 was a 30, then that turned into a next season it was a 32. And I think the next season that's when the 36 happened and he got MVP. It was no way you're gonna give MVP to anybody else because his club is winning ball games and he's averaging 36 games. I mean, it's a no brainer. He's still averaging like 6 or 7 assists or something like that, bro. It's a no brainer. He's the MVP. It's not even a freaking discussion. Um, so ultimately, for me, James escapes this debate with two things, man. Um, he escapes this with the MVP and then being the two-time assist leader and averaging like I think 6.5 assists or 7 assists on his career. I will say he's the better player just off of those two things alone. Um, I'm sure their playoff stats are not that far off from one another. But when you're talking about a guy taking home an MVP, being top five in MVP voting 3 times out of the 10 times he's been voted, period or whatever. I know Adrian they ain't really touching that like that. I think the highest Adrian's ever gotten on the MVP ladder was 11th. And again, I don't know the politics of the league back then. I don't really like know the nature of what they were looking for these awards back then. But the way that they dominated is eerily similar. Um, Play styles, impact, things of that nature, eerily. I mean, not play styles. I mean, impact, um, trajectory of career is eerily similar. But yeah, you're talking about a guy um, putting up those kinds of numbers and winning games. Ultimately they didn't really do nothing in the playoffs. But you're talking about winning games, putting the MVP up in the rafters, bro. And he came. Remember the season before that, he was the undisputed second in MVP because again, it was Russ. It's a no-brainer. You have to give it to Russ Westbrook. Um, and then the following season, he just put the league in that same kind of scenario. Now it's undisputed. You have to give me the MVP. I don't think Adrian ever got to that point where he was. He was top three in the league. I don't think he quite ever got to that point, and that's probably because of the teams that he played for. Back then, I can definitely attest to that. The players and teams were not good at identifying a good fit and really weren't playing towards a good fit. So I think if that was the case of Adrian Dantley's career, I mean, he could have been vying for the best of his generation, to be honest with you, because if they was catered towards that as opposed to other stuff, that changes everything, man. So in that first versus, James is nearly gonna run out of there with his playmaking and his better